Do you want to get into real estate but don't know where to start? Do you wonder how others are living rent free? I promise by the end of this episode, you'll learn an insight into how others own rentals, made mistakes, recovered, and how you can get involved in owning them. Find out how they started in real estate and how working with others helped them to grow in the space. Find out all that and more today, where we provide real estate investors with the tools to achieve generational wealth. Welcome to the Aim High podcast. I'm your host, Bud Evans. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Aim High podcast. Today, I am joined by Forrest Blackburn. How you doing today, Forrest?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Bud. I appreciate it.
It is an absolute pleasure having you on today. Thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, the pleasure's mine.
Hey, Forrest, can you do me a favor for those that are listening or watching on YouTube? Can you do me a favor and give me a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm a real estate professional. I'm a real estate investor. My background is in scaling businesses. Before I got into business, I was an actor and a musician. I was signed to Capitol Records and toured around and had a lot of fun. At least that's what the pictures tell me. Got some radio play and did some fun stuff. And then I started working in marketing with Capitol Records and then Paramount Pictures. Became the music supervisor for the UFC for a while. Got burned out on the entire music industry and got into marketing, working with small and medium businesses nationwide. I had a marketing company that I grew from 7 agents in the beginning to 1,500 agents nationwide and 17 franchises. And it turned out to be a real monster. We did over 50,000 full stack website development and app development. And I worked with a lot of Fortune 100 and 500 companies. And in doing that, I was approached by some of the HGTV crowd to come in and help scale their business. Most notably, Flipper Flop with Tarek El Moussa. We scaled Tarek Buys Houses, and that was about 2 years. And in doing that, I grew my personal portfolio as well as doing deals with a gentleman by the name of Cody Sperber, aka the Clever Investor. And when I became a free agent after working with the HGTV, I started working with Cody and building his brands. And I'm a coach and a mentor. I'm a public speaker. I speak at a lot of masterminds and seminars, and I try to help as many people as I can avoid costly mistakes. I use OPM for everything, so I'm able to spend a lot to learn a lot, and then I pass that knowledge on to everybody else and what's working. And right now, I've got about 37 companies that I work with, and that equates to a lot of acquisitions people, a lot of dispositions people. I work with companies that are already established as well as people that are just getting their feet wet. And again, it's all about avoiding costly mistakes, identifying the vampires in your credit card statements, and pulling levers to generate more profit and just more efficiencies. Yeah.
Awesome, man. You've come a long way from the music industry, man.
Yeah, there's been some reinvention. There's been quite a few chapters. I'll definitely say that. And now working predominantly doing wholesaling. That's been my primary focus over the last few years. And then in the last 7-8 months, I've really kind of graduated, I guess is the way to talk about it, into much larger things. I don't know who said it, but I say it all the time. The bigger the cookie, the bigger the crumb. And doing a lot of wholesale in Southern California, you have some of these $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 spreads because that's how much real estate costs in SoCal versus a lot of what people are doing in Ohio and Detroit and things where you've got $8,000, $9,000, $15,000 spreads, and you have to do a lot of deals. I've gotten into doing a lot of big portfolio deals, 130, 150, $180 million portfolios. And then in working with those, I've gotten now into luxury portfolios, luxury hotels and resorts and things of that nature. And that's really exciting because when you're talking about one that I'm working on right now is $62 billion. And you talk about half a percentage crumb wise from that big cookie, things really add up very quickly. And I've got lots of partners involved. Your strength is in who you run with. And so everything gets spread around and we've got great people working on it from all angles, but that enables me to learn from really top level individuals and then be able to pass that information down to people who want to work with me and want to help me guide them through their process and how to reach success as quickly as possible without hitting lots of financial speed bumps. Yeah.
So Forrest, you're like big right now. So let me ask you this question. I'm going to ask you to go back in time a little bit and let's talk about the first deal.
The first deal. I'm 4th generation real estate. And Everybody before me in my family was all in commercial and development. And now I'm on the development side too. I've got 11 builds, new builds going right now just in Phoenix. They're all $3-4 million exits. They're luxury properties. But when I first got into real estate, it was something that my dad instilled in me when I was young. I used to go out on appointments with him, out to big plots of land or golf courses that needed to be built out or one thing or another. So when I was 19, I bought my first flip. And luckily enough, I was an actor when I was a kid, so I had some money saved up, and I paid cash for that. That was in Burbank, California, and did that flip. I picked it up for $215,000. I just looked the other day and it's worth over $1 million. I just want to shoot myself in the teeth. But anyway, I picked it up for $215,000. I put $46,000 into it. I sold it for $385,000 about 2 years later. I lived in the property. And then I did a 1031 exchange into a condominium in Orange County, California, and made some money there. And when I sold that, I took all that money and rolled it into a new, shiny, beautiful record label that failed. So that momentum was squashed, and then I was a full-time musician, and that's feast or famine for sure. And I did that for a lot of years and had some success, but even some success in the music industry is not the wealth that you would anticipate at all. But I did work for the UFC and licensed all my music to them, so I still make some money from that. But that was really my first experience into real estate doing it personally, was that first flip when I was 19, and it went great. And obviously I was able to do the 1031 exchange by my dad's guidance into a condominium. And damn, I wish I just would have kept going with that real estate and rolling things over, or just holding them. Because I have a lot of Airbnb properties that I've accumulated, and short-term rentals are a big cash flow. And that wasn't back 25 years ago, dating myself. But now it's huge. And if that would have been around, I would have been holding those properties for sure. That's the big mistake there. But trying is always a win too. Even if there's a failure, you try and you learn, and learning is always a win.
Yeah. So let's go down that rabbit hole, Forrest. What was the worst deal you've ever dealt with?
Oh boy, it's hard to choose, right? And it doesn't necessarily always come down to the property itself. A lot of times it comes down to the people that you are burdened with working with on those properties, either the sellers or the buyers. Probably there's two deals that come to top of mind. One was a few years ago, we were working on a $14 million brownstone in Manhattan. And New York is a law state. The seller has to have legal representation. The buyer has to have legal representation. I was assigning the contract. So as the wholesaler in the middle, you're not required to have any legal representation, but you do have to deal with all of these attorneys. And this property was an inherited property. There was 5 siblings involved, none of which got along. So they all wanted their own representation. So now you have 5 attorneys on the sales side, plus an attorney on the buy side. All those attorneys are on their own clock. They're on their own schedule. You can't get them on a phone call at the same time. It turned out to be a deal that ended up canceling out, just simply because the sellers decided they weren't going to sell and they were going to rent the property out. But this went on for months. And it was literally every day there was probably 30 to 60 minutes of my time that I had to designate to this one deal, which fast forwards me to a deal that's on my radar right now that we've been working on in Naples, Florida. Beautiful property. It's a sub 2. And for those of you that are watching that sub 2 is new to you, you can watch some of Pace Morby's videos on sub 2, but it's a creative way to do seller financing, very similar to where the mortgage stays in place and you're paying the mortgage, you're paying the seller over the term of years, and then there's a balloon payment at the end. At any rate, it's a screaming deal, and the seller needs time to get out. The seller needs everything repeated multiple times of the same thing and the same questions. And there's a transaction coordination company on the buy side that's in the middle of it that is a very difficult company to work with, because they have multiple cooks in their kitchen, all asking the same questions over and over again, because they're not apparently having meetings. And that deal is going to go through. That closes on the 31st of March of this month. And that's going to be that'll be a good spread. I think that's $185,000 spread on that. So sometimes in sales, you work really hard for a little amount of money, and then sometimes you don't have to work very hard at all, and you get a windfall. But This one is proving to be something that I have to work very hard for to make a lot of money. And again, this is one of those deals that takes up so much time. I'm on the phone working this out at least 30 to 60 minutes every day with something new that arises or something old that revisits. And
Right.
some of those deals can be frustrating. They're all wins. Like I said, knowledge is power. And the more you learn from these deals, the easier it is for you to pivot and be aware for the next deal.
Right. All right. Now, you got out of that worst deal. You're dealing with this new thing. You got all that stuff currently going on. Do you have a singular niche, or are you like expanded so much that you concentrate on multiple streams?
I used to think I had a specific niche. I used to think that wholesaling was really everything that I was working on. And pardon me, it still is, but there's a lot of development now that I'm working on as well. And I'm working on a 30-unit development in Glendale, Arizona, where the Super Bowl just was. And we're building that out, and that's going to be all short-term rental. So I'm on the development side, which spreads me out a little bit more. And then even on these big portfolio deals, though, it's still wholesale by nature. So I'm still working in between buyers and sellers, negotiating out prices on something that's locked up under contract. I have a luxury casino on the Strip in Vegas right now that is under contract, and we're working with Middle Eastern buyers and a celebrity investment fund syndicate that are both bidding against each other, and we're working out the details. And when you're dealing with these high net worth individuals and very high powered portfolio funds, there's a lot of ego that gets involved in a lot of that. And everybody wants exclusivity. Everybody wants to be treated like a VIP, and rightfully they've achieved that. But it's definitely a learning experience every time I talk to somebody who has $200 billion at their disposal to deploy and how they got there. And the biggest question for me that I ask these folks is not how did you get there? It's what mistakes happened along the way and how did you overcome those? Because that's what's really what I want to digest. Everybody it's like going to a mastermind and they say, that's my island. That was my first island. There's my first helicopter. There's my Lamborghini. That's fine and good for you. But what were the hurdles that you had to overcome, and what challenges do you still find that present to you on a daily basis, and how do you overcome that? That enables me to look out for those things in my day-to-day. And if I can regurgitate that out to others and help them avoid those things on whatever level they are in their success story, that gets me out of bed in the morning. Yeah, I'm spread all over the place, but it's still, the foundation is still wholesale. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to evolve and grow into different asset classes. I'm buying restaurants right now, and we're buying gas stations right now. And there's for conversions, I'm doing an affordable housing project in LA. We've got to house 41,000 homeless people. So we're looking for 8,000 doors in Los Angeles County, as well as vacant land that we can convert over for the tent cities, and trying to solve that problem as well. Yeah, a lot of irons in the fire, but I'm a procrastinator. So if I don't have things on my plate back, I tend to put them off until the last minute. So having a full schedule and a full plate of all kinds of stuff keeps my foot on the gas pedal and keeps me focused.
Okay. So, man, you're making the transition. You're growing by leaps and bounds. I got to ask you, though, what is one thing you learned as your wealth increased?
Don't hold it. If you're an investor and you have a bunch of money sitting in your bank account, you're not an investor. You have to deploy that capital. You have to roll it into assets that generate cash flow. I was out in Miami about a month ago with Grant Cardone. Cody Sperber and I were filming a podcast with Grant, and Grant was talking about development and all the development stuff that we've got going on. And, he really said, you just got to hold everything, and that's really Grant's model is to hold as many properties as you can, take the increases and roll that equity into more properties. And so many people, they sell a property like I was guilty of. I sold my condominium in Orange County and threw it all into a record label. I wish that I would have rolled that into a multifamily and taken the cash flow, because having money sitting in an account where you can refresh your bank account every day and just look at it and get all hot and bothered by how excited you are with the money, that's not making you money. I prefer to have my bank accounts low. It makes me work harder, work faster. And have that cash flow coming in from all those properties, as well as it increasing in equities. rolling those things into other assets and into other properties and holding those properties for as long as you can, just to see the equity increase and get those values. That's really what I've really learned as money has come in and it sits. I got to get it out as fast as possible, and I'm constantly looking for assets. I purchased 2 properties this week, actually, end of last week, beginning of this week, here in Arizona, that are going to be short-term rentals. I got those sub 2. So I think one, I came in there, it's a $600,000 property. I came in at $50,000 in, and it's mine. And then I just pay the monthly payment to the seller. The other one was only $15,000, and I think I'm paying $2,300 a month. But these are all things that cash flow 56 to 58, I think are the numbers, or 53 to 58 each net operating income annually. Plus I get the appreciation, plus I get the tax write-offs. And yeah, it's just rolling that money over into more wealth and let the properties increase in value and build your wealth for you. And it's not taxable. So it's 9 to 5 is going to be taxable. Anything you put in work is going to be taxable. Anything that you take that money that you earned and put it into value generating property, that's a different taxation, and you can really build wealth quickly that way. So that's really what I've learned over the last year, to be honest, is just buying everything that I can find and deploying any money that I have in cash flow and equity producing properties.
Absolutely awesome, man. Yeah, that's a great response. I'm trying to convince, now not convince, I'm telling my nephew and my son are both getting into the business, and they're both, why do I have to pay for an LLC? We're at the very lowest level. And I'm like,
sure.
You have no idea how many write-offs you are missing out on if you don't have an LLC.
100%, and you're not protected either. We can all pop our collar and say, oh, I'll never do anything wrong, or I'll never mess up. But if you forget to cross one T or dot one I, you're exposed. And an LLC in place gives you a corporate veil and then at the end of the day, once you start building that out, you end up having multiple LLCs. I have LLCs on most of my properties. They're their own companies, and then they're owned by another LLC, and that LLC is owned by a parent LLC. And for me, I figured out how to get those LLCs owned by companies that I've developed in Panama and Belize. So I've got lots of tax havens and lots of protection against any kind of downfall that could come my way. Even my kid's trust is owned by another trust that is owned by an LLC that is offshore. And my Apple Watch is in that. So, everything that is to protect, because I'm not doing this for myself. It's not an ego play. I'm doing this for my kids. And everything for me, I've got 2 boys, Nixon, who's 9, and Weston, who just turned 7. And I've got a picture of them on my desk, and I have a picture of them at the desks at any place that I have a station where I have an office. And that's my motivator. That's my motivation. That's my reason. And I want to protect any time that I put in that takes me away from my kids. And I'm on the road a lot, especially lately. I haven't been home to see my kids in about 3 weeks. And before that, it was about 4 weeks. I'm sacrificing a lot to give them this cushion and give them this launching pad so that they can make good decisions when they get of age and not really have to have any kind of stress or fear of not having a roof over their head or where the next meal is going to come from. And I need to protect that. If I'm spending that and I'm sacrificing that, it has to be something that will never go away. So an LLC is extremely important. They're not expensive to set up. You can get them set up online. They can go extremely quickly. And there's ways that I have found. A good buddy of mine has a credit company, and there's a link to that on my website to help out anybody out there. But to get business credit very quickly in a young LLC, in a young business, and if you can get $500,000 in interest-free credit and take that and utilize that to grow your business, grow your portfolios, that can be the launching pad that makes or breaks things for you as well.
Excellent. Good day, high flyers. Are you ready to take your real estate investments sky high? Aim High REI is the perfect Facebook community for you. Get answers from experienced investors, connect with other motivated individuals, and benefit from valuable resources all in one place. If that sounds like something that interests you, join our amazing network today, and we'll help elevate your investing journey beyond what you think is possible. Aim High REI is on Facebook. Just click the link down in the show notes. The best part, it's completely free to join. I help new real estate investors overcome the fear of failure and achieve generational wealth through buying rental properties. Go to budevans.com and book a call with me to find out why we guarantee your first rental property. Thanks. Now back to the show. Good day, high flyers. Are you ready to take your real estate investments sky high? Aim High REI is the perfect Facebook community for you. Get answers from experienced investors, connect with other motivated individuals, and benefit from valuable resources all in one place. If that sounds like something that interests you, join our amazing network today, and we'll help elevate your investing journey beyond what you think is possible. Aim High REI is on Facebook. Just click the link down in the show notes. The best part, it's completely free to join. I help new real estate investors overcome the fear of failure and achieve generational wealth through buying rental properties. Go to budevans.com and book a call with me to find out why we guarantee your first rental property. Thanks. Now back to the show. So, are you ready to go into the story 4?
Yes.
Great. These are the same 4 questions that we ask every guest to get someone who is just starting out achieve new heights.
Cool.
Here we go. All right. So what is one thing that you use to keep you motivated?
The photo of my kids on my desk, to be perfectly honest. That, and I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of very key people in my life that are on top of my calendars and make sure that I'm hitting my appointments and making sure that any kind of homework that I have for those appointments, is taken care of. With everything on my plate, it can get very hectic, and it all comes down to delegation. And I've been good at delegating in my businesses, but not necessarily in my personal programs, in my personal life. And very recently, over recent months, I've been able to activate some very key people in my circle that have kept me on point and kept me moving things forward properly so that I can meet those goals for my motivators, which are my boys sitting over here on my desk in a frame. And so that's really honestly what motivates me. I have a picture of my kids on my phone, on my lock screen. I'm constantly reminding myself of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And a lot of people just remind themselves, hey, it's because I want to have more money in my bank account. And that's cool. That's a good motivator. That's financial. But I think that there also has to be something deeper. A lot of people, I was talking with Jamil Damji, he was talking about how his motivator was his family and to really please his parents and make them. So having those very personal motivators, I think are very crucial and very important over and above the financial side of things.
Yeah, perfect, man. And I'm going to move on with that because this may tie right into that. But what is one thing that you learned that has completely changed your mindset?
Boy, one thing. We talked about delegation. I throw around the term control freak, even though that's probably a pretty harsh term. But I've always been of the adage, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And that unfortunately paints me into corners sometimes where I'm taking on too much responsibility or taking on too many tasks to try and get them done because I know that I can get them done and I can get them done quickly. But I really need to be delegating that out and delegating that to people that can focus 100% on that. Because if I'm only 100%, you're only 100%. And if we're pouring ourselves into multiple things, there's no way that each one of those things is going to receive 100% of our attention. So delegating out to people that can give it 100%, that's really been the game changer for me. It enables me to go faster. It enables each one of those tasks to get the attention and the focus that it needs to get it across the finish line and really produce something that's of top quality. So delegation is the biggest thing that I've learned and I implement now on a daily basis.
Excellent, man. So let's play into that. What is something that you use that keeps you on track?
I live and die by my calendar. Everything with me is Google. When I got into marketing years ago, I was a Google certified partner. And with that, I had to have everything Google. So I've been married to Google and Gmail and Google Sheets and Google Calendar for more than a decade. And really gives me the opportunity. I've got all my calendars and I have surmountable amount of calendars across multiple different emails. And it just helps me stay intact. I wake up and I look at that calendar. I look at the calendar before I go to bed, and it gives me a jump on my day, and I can kind of plan things out because I do back-to-back meetings. Today I've got back-to-back podcasts, and it enables me to really map out my day. So the biggest tool that I have that keeps me on track is Google Calendar. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And let's go back in time once again. If there was one thing that you had to change and you wanted to change when you were starting, if you had, let me try that again. What is one thing that you would change if you had to start all over again?
God, that's a tough question, because if I went back in time and I changed something, it wouldn't put me where I am today. There's certain things that I wish didn't happen, but if they hadn't happened, I wouldn't have learned from them. And again, it wouldn't get me to where I am today. So going back in time and changing things is a delicate. I constantly reflect, and I'm constantly looking back. I have a pretty good long-term memory, and constantly reflecting on things that I went through, because at the time I didn't have the perspective that I have now. And I can reevaluate and look back at a lot of those past experiences with the knowledge that I have now and crack the code and say, oh, wow, if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have done this differently. But then it immediately makes me analyze, where would that have put me today? And maybe, probably, likely, it would have put me forward. You know, the knowledge I have today applied to the knowledge that I didn't have yesterday, I would have zoomed through yesterday a lot more efficiently. But changing things in the past, they've all been learning experiences. And all of those experiences I can now reflect on and apply my learned knowledge now. And it helps me now. So I don't know that I would change anything. I think that the biggest thing was I probably would have stayed in real estate and not gotten out of real estate and put all my ducks into music. Although it was a great fun time, my 20s were a lot of fun. Most of it was a blur, but it was a fun blur. And not very many people get to experience the experiences that I had in my 20s and be around a lot of these famous people that I was around and have a lot of those stories. I think that now it enables me to focus on business and not have my eye on going out and doing silly stuff and partying my life away. I already did that. It's out of my system. Again, if I'd have changed it and gotten into real estate, who knows? Maybe I'd be talking to you right now from a club. But I got it all out of my system before, so now I'm in an office and we're having a conversation. So it just enables me to reflect on some of those experiences that were at the time very negative, but now I can turn them into learning experiences.
Good day, high flyers. Are you ready to take your real estate investments sky high? Aim High REI is the perfect Facebook community for you. Get answers from experienced investors, connect with other motivated individuals, and benefit from valuable resources all in one place. If that sounds like something that interests you, join our amazing network today, and we'll help elevate your investing journey beyond what you think is possible. Aim High REI is on Facebook. Just click the link down in the show notes. The best part, it's completely free to join. I help new real estate investors overcome the fear of failure and achieve generational wealth through buying rental properties. Go to budevans.com and book a call with me to find out why we guarantee your first rental property. Thanks. Now back to the show. Forrest, do me a favor. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, where would they go ahead and do that?
Very simple. You can just go to my website, which is forrestblackburn.com. There's 2 R's in Forrest, Blackburn, just like it sounds. forrestblackburn.com. You can book a consulting call with me so I can hear you and I can learn more about your business and figure out if it's coaching that you need from me, subtle tweaks you need from me, a program that you need. I have a master course that's on my website that's digital that you can pay for and download and watch at 2 o'clock in the morning over a bag of Cheetos if you need to. I also have one-on-one coaching, and I have group coaching calls every week with a large group of people on Zoom. I guess it's Google Meets, back to the Google stuff I use. And you can reach out to me on social. I'm on Instagram. It's always just Forrest Blackburn, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. But I'm always available. And because I have keep working with me, they can answer and facilitate any kind of meetings or coaching or consulting that you need. But really, everything's all on the website. So if you go to forrestblackburn.com, you can find it all. And I hope to hear from everybody, whether you're just getting started and dipping your toe in the water with real estate investing, if you have a real estate wholesale company or a real estate development or fix and flip company, and you want to learn how to scale it and you want to be efficient, that's really my bag. And I'd love to help you cut the corners that need to be cut and chew some of the fat and save you from any kind of costly mistakes, and really give you the systems, the tools, the processes, and how to create an ecosystem with the people you have. Because if you don't have good people and they're not happy, the systems and processes they're not even being used. They're just sitting. And that's really the biggest part of it, is creating a solid culture. People that want to utilize your systems and processes to make you money at your company. So I'm available and I'd love to help.
All right, Forrest, I really do appreciate your time. I know you're extremely busy. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you again for Josh hooking us up.
Absolutely.
It's been a real pleasure. Until next time we meet, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, aim high.